So, welcome to a new series I'm calling Jeremy Shows. What I'm going to do in this series is I pick a piece of hardware or something that I have, and I show it off to you. Thus the title, Jeremy Shows. Simple, huh? Effective? I'd like to start off by saying, Ashens, if you're watching, I am not trying to rip off your format. I swear I'm not. It just so happens that the best place that was presentable and had the best lighting to do this was my couch. So, yeah. Going to go forward with this. This time I'm showing off, as you can see, the Vtech V.Flash. I don't know why they call it the V.Flash, but it's a home edutainment system, as you can see there from the front. It is an educational console, and it takes two controller ports, or it takes two controllers right there. There's two ports right there at the front. There's a memory card slot, which I don't have, so I can't save my games. It has separate on and off buttons. Push the on button, and they don't click into place or anything. You push the on, turns on, you push the off to turn it off. Moving around the unit, I guess we'll do. Looking at the top, we have a restart button, and you can see that it takes compact disc digital audio discs, in other words audio CDs, which we'll get to in a moment. And it also takes V-discs, which are the actual software discs that run on the system, and we'll get to those in a moment as well. Moving over, we have here the actual disk drive. That right there is the eject button. I'll show you what happens when you push that. Guess what happens? It ejects. Ooh. But you look inside, and it's sort of a pseudo-proprietary drive in here. As you can see, whenever it's opened up, it has a protective thingo right there. I can't actually pull it back, which is a good thing. That protects the laser lens whenever the lid is open. And if I push the lid down, you can actually see that thing actually retracting, so that whenever the lid is fully down, the laser lens is exposed and it can actually access the CD. It does run on CDs, by the way. Even though it calls them V-discs, it's just an ordinary CD in a proprietary case. It also has CD player controls here on the side. And moving over to the right side of the unit, we have, which none of this stuff I actually knew existed until I was looking at it just now. It has a volume control, which feels remarkably cheap, and has a microphone input, which I don't know what that would be used for, and it has headphone output. I guess that nice little happy thing with the protrusions from the sides of its head, I guess those are headphones. Moving around to the back of the unit, we have a delicious proprietary AV out and a standard DC power input. It actually plugs in using this cable, this end right here, plugs into that, as you would expect, which I was very happy to find out that whenever I bought this, it actually came with this cable, because that would have been the end of the fun if it didn't. And at the end of that cable, it has ordinary, standard RCA composite and left-right audio, which is nice. It means it hooks up to basically everything. I guess those are ventilation holes right there, so it doesn't blow up. Nothing on the left side of the unit. And on the bottom, it's got some feet in the corners, and a label on the bottom that has all the goodness on it. Particularly part FC15 of the SEC rules, which I have memorized because as a kid I tended to look at the backs of electronics a lot, and that thing is on everything here in the United States. So, that is the main unit, and the controller is right here. And as you can see, it actually has quite a bit going on for something that's supposed to be educationally geared. Help button at the top, which I haven't actually tried out. Menu button, which you use to, I think, go back to the boot up menu, maybe. Exit exits you out of the currently running software. Enter is used kind of like a start button. It also has 4 action buttons over here. It refers to actions buttons by color and by shape on this console. Why they can't just give them letters or numbers, I don't know. I guess they were taking a page from Sony right there. It has A, B, C, and D buttons down here, which I've never seen used in any of the games that I've played. And we have an analog stick right here, which actually isn't really analog from what I've seen. Maybe it is analog, because I'm thinking of 2 different modes in the same game, and one of them seemed analog and the other one didn't. The other one seemed like it was just up and down, left and right, like a D-pad, and also clicks. whenever you push it down. Now, it also has left and right shoulder buttons up at the top. Now, the first thing you may be noticing about this controller is why the flipping fuck is the analog stick on the right-hand side instead of the left. And I noticed that whenever I was looking at the unit in the thrift store this past weekend, which, by the way, I got the main unit, the AC adapter, the AV cable, 3 controllers, 2 games, and an audio CD adapter case, all for about 13 bucks. So I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, back to the controller. This controller actually has a very unusual feature that I haven't seen in any other console controller ever. And it's that you can do this. If you don't like the analog stick on the right, you can change that. Flip it over, and there's this switch on the back. And if you push this switch, it actually releases part of the controller. And you push on it from either one of those 2 sides, and you can see from the other side, you're actually pushing up the action buttons and the analog stick. And once that's up, you can rotate it to the other side and push it back down. And like I said, very interesting feature. I've never seen that on any other game console. Any other controller I've ever had in my hands, I've never seen it do that. And that's actually kind of neat. Kind of forward thinking, if you will. So, that is the controller. And here is one of the games that it takes. This is the V-Disc that it's talking about. Like I said, it's just a CD inside a proprietary case. It's got the label for the game right there. This is Wacky Race on Jumpin' Bean Island, which I don't know if that's like a franchise or something, or if they made that up for this console. But yeah. So, on the back of it, it's also got a protective thing for the disc, and you also cannot... Okay, maybe you can push that down while it's out of the console. Like I said, normal CD inside. That protects the CD, so that presumably toddlers can throw this all over the place and it's not going to scratch up the disc. Now, one thing I don't like about the case for this thing is you can rattle the disc around in there, and I don't think the disc is actually sitting on top of anything that prevents the underside from touching the inside of the case. So presumably you could do that enough and you could still scratch the disc. So I don't know what they were thinking there. But to put it in, you slide it in like this until it stops, until it nicely fits all along the inside there, and just push it down, and you're done. Let's see, what else is there to say about this unit? I could talk about the hardware that's inside it, which actually surprised me for a machine like this. I was, coincidentally, just a few days ago, I was reading on Wikipedia about this machine, and in that was the hardware specifications. And what surprised me about it is that this machine is actually capable of 3D rendering, which is something you don't typically see in educational hardware. Usually they take whatever the hardware is at the time, whatever the shittiest, cheapest thing is that they could possibly throw into it, and that's what goes into it, because they figure, they're kids, they're not going to know if they're playing on hardware that's 20 years old. And I guess, depending on age, they may be right. Like I said, capable of 3D rendering, and it doesn't do a bad job. In my experience, it puts it right about capability-wise somewhere between the, around the PlayStation, not quite PlayStation, but pretty much like the early 3D rendering hardware from around that time, early to mid-90s. That's kind of what this does. So the quality isn't that great, and the resolution isn't that great, but it does the job. It still pulls off 3D. And so when I was reading about that on Wikipedia, that of course got me interested, and then I walked into the thrift store this past weekend and just happened to find this exact bundle. The bundle itself actually had a price on it of, what was it, like $27, something like that, but they were having a half-off sale that day that I didn't know about until I walked into the place. And so, yeah, got it for half off. And it works perfectly. The other game that I have for it is a SpongeBob game. And inevitably, I will be playing both of these two games on my channel at some point to show it off to you. They're much better quality than I expected. And it also comes with this adapter, like I was talking about, what you do with this is you put an audio CD into here, and then you put this into here, like that. Just push it down like normal, and you can play audio CDs with it. So kind of neat. This adapter also allows you with a very basic hardware modification. See, I got a little plastic tab in there pushing down on a button. That allows me, in combination with this adapter, to do nefarious things, and that's all I'm going to say about that. So, can't really think of anything else to say about the unit itself, but overall it exceeded my expectations, and I was very happy to find it when I did for the price that I did. So, don't know what I'll be showing off next on Jeremy's shows, but this has definitely been cool, and I'd like to do it again with my millions of other piles of shit. So stay tuned for that.